okay, there we go. Just making sure that my camera was working. This is my second show of the night because I am making up for lost time from last week. I want to take the comments down until we actually get some, because it just looks weird to have a blob up there. We are doing a response to Marcus Dibb tonight. Marcus Dibb has a YouTube channel whose name I can't say in the first 10, but he is a trans man, and his channel name is The Offensive Tea. Fill in the tea yourself. Let me show you the shirt that I showed the last stream I did just an hour ago. The kids call me based. If you would like to get this shirt, go to tinyurl.com/pink flame merch, MERCH, and I would really appreciate it. And please, please give this channel a subscribe if you haven't already. I would truly appreciate it. And one last promo to do, and then we'll get right to the clips. Haven't promoted this in a while, but this is a great anthology that is from the 50th anniversary of John Hosper's. So it's called Libertarianism, John Hosper's, the Libertarian Party's 50th anniversary and beyond. I do have 2 essays in this book, so you know, I'm going to pimp it, and I would really appreciate it if you would support the former students of John Hosper's that had put that together. And hello, Frank Martin, very good to see you. Now I'll get comments up. Oh God, how did that get so warped in that little screen there? Let me see. There we go. That works out better. That's kind of weird though. Let me see if I can resize this. No, that doesn't work. We're going to leave it at that. All right, let's go to the first clip. So as I introduced, Marcus is a trans man, does not live in America. And I do think that makes a little bit of difference as to his political views. So I tend to be quite easy on Marcus, not only because he's a cutie pie and I love him and I think he has a very good channel, but also he comes from a different political perspective than we do here in this country. And in these clips, I think Marcus raises some very thought-provoking and worthy of consideration questions about even... We often talk on this channel, and I think most of my listeners would agree, that children can't consent, and that includes to a lot of things such as puberty blockers or any kinds of, as it's called, gender-affirming surgeries. Adults can do what they want. Children can't consent. Now, Marcus is going to push back on that, saying that there needs to be tighter controls even on what adults can do. And I think he raises some very, very good points. And we don't do ourselves service as libertarians to not acknowledge when people raise good points. But I am still going to argue that despite his good points, adults should be able to do what they want. But I'm going to give a caveat, not a caveat, but a different solution. So let's listen to Marcus.
My name is Hava. I'm a detransitioner. I started transitioning when I was 28 and I began taking testosterone. I went to Planned Parenthood. They did not require a medical evaluation. They did not require a mental health evaluation. They took everything I told them at face value. I had untreated borderline personality disorder, CPTSD, and just a bunch of other trauma from my childhood. I was very confused.
I want to stop here for a second, and I'm sorry if there's feedback. I'm going to put on my mute button when we're playing the clips. This isn't Marcus. Marcus is showing a clip from this young lady who is a detransitioner. Thought she was a man, went to Planned Parenthood, and as she says, got no counseling. They just handed over testosterone. And this is what Marcus is going to be related to. Now remember, Marcus was born biologically female and is a trans man. But let's listen to Hala's story a little bit more. But just understand, this is Hala, this is not Marcus, and she is a detransitioner. People who mock these people or claim they don't exist are just disgusting. They do exist, and we should listen to what they have to say as well.
This is a case of someone who's a little bit older than the usual detransitioner we hear so much about. And when we're talking about adults transitioning, I hear the argument, well, if you're an adult, you can do whatever you want. You have the right to mess up your own body. And I don't agree.
Okay, now this is where Marcus and I are going to disagree. Now, he's going to defend what he had to say, but he is going to say that adults don't have the right to do this. Hala was an adult when this happened. So let's get that clear. And this is Marcus. The echo that you're hearing in Marcus's audio is on his end. He later says later on in his video, I think he was traveling or whatever. It wasn't with his usual YouTube setup. So his audio is very echoey, but what a cutie pie. All right, let's go to the next clip.
A gender transition is not getting a tattoo or drinking a beer. This is to treat a mental disorder. And no matter if you're an adult or a child, you personally are a patient, and you don't get to decide what type of medicine that you want.
Okay, so this is the crux of his argument, that he says that, you know, not identifying with your biological sex is a mental disorder. I believe it is. Now, people will get super upset about that, but there's no shame in that. I have mental disorders. I suffer from chronic, lifelong depression. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. There's no shame in that. We live in a fallen world. If you're a Christian, you can view it that way, or otherwise, listen, biology isn't perfect. It's going to have its mess ups, and anything that isn't operating as it should, that doesn't match reality, or there's a mismatch, is a mental disorder. But that is not an insult, and there is no shame to that. So his point is, you're dealing with somebody with some kind of mental illness. Do people with mental illness get to choose what medication is appropriate for them? And he categorically says, no, I don't agree. It depends upon the extent of the disorder. I certainly have researched best treatments for depression, and I choose what helps me. For those of you who don't know, because I will promote this till the day is long, I am no longer on any antidepressant medications after having been on them for decades. I go like every 3 months for ketamine infusions, and they have completely reversed any depression that I've had. And I really recommend that to anyone who suffers from chronic depression. You could talk to me offline. There are testimonials where people who were feeling self-cancelable, if you get my drift, who had a ketamine treatment and immediately afterwards no longer felt that way. It's not like antidepressants. It doesn't take a while. It is immediate. If it's going to work for you, it works immediately, as it did for me. So just because I have a mental disorder, have a mental health issue, I'm still competent to decide what treatment is best for me. And same thing with obsessive compulsive disorder. So he's just assuming from the outset that the type of mental disorder or mental little bit of glitch that might be where you don't feel at home with your biological sex renders you incompetent. And I do not agree with that. Now, it could for some people if they have other comorbidities. Like, obviously, Hala said that she had, what was it? Oh, crap. BPD, certain identity disorders above and beyond. But I still think that we as adults do get a choice in our treatment. So I don't agree with him that you just sign over everything to the medical quote-unquote professionals. The medical quote-unquote professionals not that long ago were lobotomizing people, that you do have to take some responsibility. Now, when you start getting into more and more and more severe disorders where there cannot be meaningful consent, like somebody in the throes of schizophrenia, things get a lot more difficult. But that's not what we're talking about here. I don't think having gender dysmorphia renders you incapable of consent. Now, it might take more responsibility on the part of the medical professional to properly assess you, but I don't think that renders you into a child that can't consent. Now, if I am in the grips of a severe depression, my judgment faculties will not be the same as if when I'm not, but that doesn't render me incapable of consent, and neither does having gender dysphoria render that person incapable of consent. Now, Hala had more issues, so I think Marcus needs to be a lot more careful here, where he jumped from her saying that she had multiple mental health issues to just simply a person whose only mental health issue, or at least only really debilitating one, is gender dysphoria. Okay, next clip.
Every single person who wants a physical gender transition should undergo a mental health screening. It doesn't matter if the person ends up being right, myself included, that they are gender dysphoric and it's chronic. See, the good thing is, it doesn't hurt anyone, and it's actually a healthy thing to get your mental health checked.
And that I agree with him. What was really disturbing about Hala's story is that she just went into a Planned Parenthood and without any kind of mental health screening to determine if it was really gender dysphoria, was just handed over testosterone. That is deeply, deeply disturbing. But that isn't because she as an adult could not consent. It was because when you go to a professional, be it a lawyer, be it a doctor, be it a parliamentarian, they need to utilize their professional discretion, and Planned Parenthood failed her there. And it isn't because she had gender dysphoria or, well, she obviously didn't, but whatever other mental illnesses that she had. It was that they committed professional malpractice. And doctors can do that with any mental health issue or any health issue, not just trans issues. And that's what bothers me here. We've only, I think, well, we got one or two more clips, but it's not as if I don't think that Marcus isn't raising serious concerns as to the responsibility of medical professionals. Just because someone as an adult does have the right to want these things doesn't mean that the other adult has to give it to them. And that is the twisted incentives in our current system, where doctors can be sued if they choose not to affirm, or if they choose, no, this is not a treatment I wish to participate in. When there is more personal responsibility and consent on the part of the doctors, that is actually the real issue, I think, here.
So what we need to do as a society is to not blindly affirm anyone who says that they're trans is trans.
I'm going to stop because I don't buy into this as a society thing.
And the trans clinics need to do their job.
And I would agree here that Planned Parenthood failed this woman. And it's truly, truly sad. But the answer isn't taking away the rights of people. It is placing greater responsibility on those who claim to be professionals. When you put on that mantle, you have a greater responsibility. Okay, I think there's one more clip.
Yes, they can consent to a lot of things in life, but when you deal with your mental health and it's so bad that you need to seek help at a clinic with professionals, then it's not actually you making a decision when it comes to your medicine, it's the doctors.
They are partners with you in making the decision. Again, it does not render you incapable of consent. And Marcus, I think you're an example of that. Now, Marcus will say that he did not get proper counseling, and it's just lucky that he was actually genuinely transgender, unlike people who have other issues, borderline personality or whatever other issues, and turn out not to be legitimately transgender. But the answer is not to claim that adults don't have rights. The answer here is to assert that professionals have responsibilities. Well, I hope that did give you some food for thought. I hope you check out Marcus's channel and that you subscribe to mine for a libertarian perspective on these issues. And I hope you have an awesome night. And that's going to be the end of shows for today. Probably be 2 tomorrow. Peace out. Bye-bye.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business, not because they want to